All right, moving forward, Chase Burns, you have some updates there.
Yeah, news broke right before we went on.
Yep.
Shout out to Charlie Goldsmith, broke the news. Chase Burns getting promoted to AA after just 3 starts at Dayton. Only made one start at Day Air Ballpark. I tried to tell you, you better get there if you want to see him. He only made one start. No, this is exciting though. I mean, I like that the Reds are being aggressive here with Burns. Excited to see him. What he's able to do at the AA level. I think there's a pretty big leap from high A to AA. Some of the best players, that are a little bit more established are at AA. So I'm excited about this. I will be interested to see how quickly he's able to adjust, if there is an adjustment period. But I don't know. The fact that it was only 3 starts, maybe I'm reading too much into this, but it gives me the belief that there is a real chance that you could see Chase Burns at some point this year.
I 100% believe that. I think I even said to you, Nick, like Chase Burns was the most MLB ready prospect that the Reds could have possibly drafted when they drafted him. You have the Bazanas of the world. You had Charlie Condon. I'm not suggesting that those guys won't be great big league players, and they might, but they're nowhere near ready to step into an MLB lineup. I might get crushed for saying this. I really do believe it. I think Chase Burns has Paul Skeens-esque stuff. I think that there's a chance where he has. I'm not going to suggest that he's going to be the Cy Young favorite. Okay, I'm not going to go that far, but I am going to say that I genuinely think that it's just a formality. He's ready to pitch in AAA right now. He's ready to maybe even be at least somewhat in the mix when you might need a spot start here or there, or you get down to the pennant race towards the end of the year and you just want to have your best players available in your organization to try to help you win games. Chase Burns is that guy right now, in my opinion. It's just a formality of what he's doing. They wanted to put him in at maybe in Dayton to take some pressure off. They knew he was probably going to blow guys away, and he did. He had one inning where he kind of got roughed up a little bit. Outside of that, those kids had no chance. And when I say no chance, they had literally no chance against Chase Burns. He was throwing against guys already, in my opinion, that were basically AA type level talent in the SEC, and then he went to the ACC, obviously, after his freshman year. So Chase Burns has already shown that he can be successful against high-level talent, and that's why he was the second pick. I just say to everybody, as long as he stays healthy, I would be shocked if the Reds are in some semblance of a postseason chase. I would say the odds of seeing Chase Burns in a Reds uniform, if they're in a playoff chase, is 75%. And I think that some people might say, wow, that's crazy. I don't think it's crazy at all, Nick. I'm happy for Chase Burns, but it seems like a formality more than a promotion.
I think those odds might be too low.
There you go.
I think if they're in a race and he's healthy, I don't see why he wouldn't pitch. The biggest question for me is, say he goes to AA, makes 3 or 4 starts, is dominant.
Right. There's
a spot that opens up. Do they just say, all right, big boy, we'll just promote you all the way up to the big leagues? I think it's possible. I'm not going to say it's probable, but right. I think it is possible.
Yeah, I also want to remind everybody that Rhett Lauder struggled in AA last year way more than he did when he made his big league debut, and then obviously the aforementioned starts after. Like it is kind of wild, and I'll also say maybe there's something in Chattanooga that's difficult to play good baseball because Matt McClain also, if you look at his numbers when he was in Chattanooga, are significantly worse than what he's done at the big league level. So I'm not even going to maybe even go out on a limb and judge him on what he does in Chattanooga, because it seems like that's almost like the Detroit of football for a stretch of time before, shout out to Campbell, before Campbell. I don't want any Lions fans in my mentions. But all I'm trying to say is that Chase Burns is a big league pitcher. At some point, if it's not now, it's going to be really, really soon. And the last thing I'll say with Burns is like there's only so many 100-mile-an-hour fastballs that you can throw before at some point you're going to have some semblance of issues. That might be 10 years. That might be 6 years. That might be 3 years. It could be tomorrow. I don't know when it is, Nick. But I'm just going to tell you, there is a clock there. We've seen that throughout the history of this game so far with all these guys throwing the ball really, really hard. For those that want to say, hey, let's pump the brakes, let this guy get acclimated, I say let's stop wasting our time on this guy throwing the ball 100 miles an hour every single time, and let's start using him while we have him, because the reality is I don't know how much better he's going to get. No offense, Nick, but the whole pitching coach stuff and this coach stuff, when you got guys that are that talented, it is what it is. You either got it or you don't. Ain't nobody walking in that door showing Chase Burns how to pitch the ball that much better. It's only going to come from his experience, and it's going to come from his hard work, and it's going to come from his ability to get big league experience. So I'm with you. If it's 3 weeks from now and Chase Burns is in the big leagues, I wouldn't even be upset about it either. That's not going to happen, to be clear, but that's how high I am on him.
One thing I'll add about in Rhett Lauder's defense is that Chattanooga Lookout's defense last year was one of the most atrocious defenses I've ever seen, and he had a lot. He had a lot of earned runs that should not have been earned runs. I mean, it was atrocious. Thankfully for Chase Burns, he's going to go to a defense with Edwin Arroyo, Sal Stewart, Hector Rodriguez, Ethan O'Donnell, Jay Allen, some actually pretty good, talented, athletic players. So that'll be a fun team. I tell you what, that is going to be a fun watch when he's pitching with that lineup. For how bad that team was last year, that's going to be a lot of fun. And there was a really good point brought up in our chat about Carlton. Can't forget about Wade Miley. I think the Reds would probably want to see where Wade Miley is, and he would certainly be ahead of the pecking order for Burns, yes. Just with kind of the way they signed that contract. But I'm saying it's always possible that you get Wade Miley and these still end up needing them. But there was one thing I did want to mention today, kind of ties in with Burns and Miley and all this. And it's kind of piling on poor Charlie Morton. But Charlie Morton got $15 million this year. Justin Verlander got $15 million this year. That's why a pitcher like Chase Burns is valuable. That's why that Brady Singer trade, I think as this year goes on, is going to age very well. And that's why I still believe when we get to the end of the year, I'm going to go down with the ship on Nick Martinez and that being a good contract for the Reds.
Well, you're definitely going to go down with the ship on that if it doesn't work out. There's no doubt in my mind that the Reds, I'll say it once, I'll say it, this is the last time I'm going to say it, I don't think that was a part of their plan. They'll never say that, but I really genuinely don't think it was. They wanted a comp pick for it. They thought maybe in their mind that Martinez was not going to take it because he had a heck of a back end of last year, and he might want a multi-year deal. And ultimately, at the end of the day, he obviously took it, and the Reds had to pay him. So we'll see ultimately if it winds up hurting the Reds. The thing about those $20 million deals, it all gets washed away, too, if somebody outperforms the contract in a different spot, which isn't really fair to Nick Martinez, right? Like, if Nick Martinez winds up being what we call a reliable late inning reliever, semi-high leverage reliever, you might say to yourself, well, that was a little steep in price to pay for him. But you're not going to get mad about it if Jake Fraley plays really, really well. You're not going to get mad about it if Austin Hayes plays really, really well or TJ Friedel plays really, really well, and we're not sitting here complaining about having an outfield bat or a DH that can hit. If Candelario comes out of the woodworks here and he starts to play above average, and by above average, I mean just basically what we expect of him. I'm not talking about league average. I'm just saying, is he serviceable for this team? The narrative around Nick Martinez changes because for some reason, and I understand why, people won't associate the money that we paid Nick Martinez with stuff that we didn't do in the offseason that you might have liked us to do. So it's a weird dynamic that exists in fandom, but that's the truth right now, is that right now the outfield has been atrocious. We have spots in this lineup that are holes, and there are people that wanted bats in the offseason, rightfully so, and we didn't get any bats outside of Austin Hayes, who wasn't here for a stretch of time. And the one guy that people wanted to pick on was Nick Martinez because he had a couple of mediocre starts to begin the year. So I think that's just where we're at in fandom, Nick. I don't think people hate Nick Martinez. I just think it's an easy punching bag by the way that things panned out.
Yeah, I see a lot of comments about, the Reds look to trade a starting pitcher, and maybe they do get to that point, but I think it's still so early in the year. I mean, go ask the Baltimore Orioles how they feel about their pitching depth. I mean, they have 6 starting pitchers on the IL. Starting pitching depth is fleeting, and it can erode very, very quickly. So I think you need every single one of these starters right now. I hope that I'm dead wrong and you get to the trade deadline and you have 8 quality starters in your system and you could make a move, but I would not expect that to be the reality.
All right.